Hi, everybody. Welcome to Launchcast, Launchcode's podcast. My name is Robbie Butchart. I am the Chief Revenue Officer and one of the partners here at the organization. Today, we are excited, humbled, honored to have Brenda Beckedorf with us. I think I nailed that pretty good. I nailed that. Thank you.
She's a local celebrity.
She is. And we are excited to talk about all things IoT related. We live it, we breathe it, every day we experience it, and we're really excited to dive deeper into what exactly that means to everybody. So stay tuned. We're excited to get a little more granular on what that means. Wonderful. Here we are. We are today sitting with Brenda. We're sitting with Alberio. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.
We are excited to get a little deeper into what exactly IoT means, how the evolution to the industry looks like in the Alberta ecosystem and really beyond. We're going to get a little deeper into what we've experienced over what you've experienced, Brenda, over the last couple of weeks, how it's tying together, the history associated to really what Alberta IoT is really bringing to our marketplace here. So I'm excited. Thank you both, and Alberio, sorry, my apologies. Thank you also for being here today to talk, get a little deeper into what IoT means to Launchcode, how it associates to the Alberta IoT, and really the evolution to what this looks like today. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep the hard questions to Brenda, please.
I can do that. It's a gift. Brenda, get ready.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So let's start. Let's let you know what. There's exciting things going on. You've done some travel. We got to some hot spots, even though we've got blizzards happening here. So we'll get to that.
Welcome home. Right?
Yeah, welcome back. 30, 40, 50 degree weather difference.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this. Let's maybe back up. Let's give a little bit of history on you, how you got into the Alberta IoT, what Alberta IoT actually means, because there's going to be some listeners that really don't understand what the impact to our ecosystem actually ties into. So I'll turn over to you. Give us a quick snapshot.
Sure. So I've been in IT for many years and kind of fell into this role where they were looking for someone to take on Alberta IoT, and it was just a part-time gig. We had a bunch of members who had got together and built the community, had a board, had events, had a membership, and so I came in thinking I was going to do this part-time, and within 6 months it became this very large thing that I took on. So it's been 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Already?
And we are like 225 members.
Wow.
And so we've grown substantially, and through that time frame we started to create programs that would support what our businesses needed to grow. And so that has been our whole focus around Alberta IoT is how do we build the tech sector in Alberta?
Yeah.
And then how do we take that into the national and international market? How do we put Alberta on the map?
Yeah.
I love it. And you guys have been doing a phenomenal job at that. And as a bystander, Robbie and I, when we first got introduced to Alberta IoT, it was probably in the beginning.
Yeah.
And what we've
Early
seen
days.
happen, right, through LinkedIn and the activities and the events you guys have, it's grown quite a bit. So it's awesome to
Been
see.
very busy. We've been hiring and doing a lot of things, but yeah, it's been exciting. It's been exciting to see the partnerships that have also developed over the last year and a half or so, and those partnerships are also helping us to take our message out there.
Yeah,
So
it's a diverse partnership.
it is.
Because
It is.
when you think of Alberta IoT, it's like your initial thought is, okay, everything's got to be IoT related.
Yeah,
But you see
but
the
it's
partnerships,
not.
it's not.
It's not. Well, and if you look at most companies these days, they have technology in it. So whether
Yeah.
it's AI, machine learning, blockchain, whatever it is, cryptocurrency, technology is a foundation for most companies if they want to scale up.
Yeah.
And so that's been our focus. So we have great relationships with the Canadian blockchain, but we also work with Invest Alberta or CD or, so it's right across the board.
Awesome. Well, let's go back to those first, that part-time gig you took on. Let's talk about what the vision was at that time and how it's evolved. Let's go a little deeper there.
So we were looking at what our membership was when I initially came on. So there's about 45 members, and we realized that most of these companies were starting to scale and really needed that support if they wanted to become a zebra or a unicorn. Yeah. And so we had fun with that. And we went, okay, what do they need? So we created this business acceleration program. So last year, the Fast Track had 78 companies come through.
Wow.
So all of those companies want to scale up, become investor ready, go into the international market, build out a better business model, hire new people. And so when we saw this and we realized that we could do more with that, then it started to evolve all of our other programs. So now we have the Startup Visa program. So the Startup Visa program allows us to bring companies in from all over the world and give them landed immigration status. Right. So we're bringing them in, but we're bringing them in because we want to work with incubators in other parts of the world so their companies are vetted. They've already gone through some type of program elsewhere. They've already got investors. They already got grants and funding. Right. And now they want to expand into the North American market. And we're going, hey, Alberta's here.
Yeah.
And so
that must be pretty cool to represent Alberta that way.
It's so cool. Going to Europe the last 2 weeks, that's what our message was, is, hey, look at Alberta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's something that's been evolving and changing it's been, let's be real, it's been years.
It's been years.
It's been years,
but
this evolution.
There's a change because we had changes happening because we had the perfect storm.
Yeah.
We had oil and gas tank, and then we had COVID. And companies actually stopped and looked at what they're doing and went, we need to be adjusting with our technology.
Right.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that allows us to play on a bigger stage.
Yeah. And so has the vision changed since that initial part-time status you had?
Well, it became very full-time
Yeah,
and then some.
Yeah. Outside of that.
Outside of that, I think the vision always was to support the tech sector in Alberta. It just became much bigger. And with it becoming much bigger, then we also now rolling out a virtual science park.
Oh.
And the virtual science park takes us onto the world stage again. And so that's really playing to Alberta and Canada then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've alluded to the world stage a couple of times, so why don't we dive into that? You've been traveling.
Yep.
Let's maybe talk a little bit about the purpose. Let's talk about what you found out there. How do we rank against the rest? Because there's a lot out there.
There
you have a lot of publicity around different areas of the world that are focusing in tech. So maybe enlighten us and all the listeners here on how do we stack up?
How we do?
Yeah.
So we went to Luxembourg first to Arch Summit. They have 600 tech companies. And then we went from there over to Lisbon to Web Summit, which has 77,000 people.
Wow.
So crazy. What was very cool, though, is when we start talking about what the Alberta story is and what Canada has to offer, that got people excited. We have a great lifestyle here. We have mountains. We have talent. We have universities that want to work with you, and you can have those conversations. We have an ecosystem that is working together. So there was a lot of collaboration with other partners that traveled with us. And so when you're able to go to all of these companies and say, you're thinking about the North American market, we're here and we're willing to bring all of these partners in to support you. And so we actually could not believe how excited people were to have that conversation.
That's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then I think the flip side is if we have a company here and they want to look at Europe, being able to give them somebody to go to help give them that warm handshake into a new market, that's huge. So. Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow, it's amazing to hear what's happening outside of just the province and the borders here. So very cool.
Yeah.
It's nice to see Alberta being represented in the international space outside of oil and gas. Right?
Yes.
As a tech company, we love to see that. So represent us and represent the whole industry of tech out there. It's awesome for everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think, it's almost putting aside the different verticals because oil and gas is represented, but so is health, so is construction, it's all of the verticals. Tech's everywhere. And so being able to say Alberta has all of these different verticals with tech, you're not going, oh, we only have agriculture, or we only have oil and gas, right?
Yeah.
So that was really exciting too.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Great insight. Great
Yeah,
insight.
thank you.
So, Brenda, let's discuss a little bit about the value that organizations that are in the tech space, the Launchcodes of the world, the business community that you're connecting to. We've had some experience in other industries, other markets. Down into the U.S. where we've opened an office in Florida. We've seen a lot of great activity from partnerships that we're part of down there.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I'm, speaking on behalf of Alberio and the team at Launchcode, it's really exciting to see what Alberta IoT is doing to connect the industry as well as the potential, the needs of the clientele that we're trying to serve. So let's maybe discuss that a little bit and the initiatives from Alberta IoT to connect the business world to the supplier world. I'd like to say partners rather than suppliers. But let's talk about that a little bit. What are you seeing out there to connect those two?
And I will say that I really have seen a change over the last year or two, and I think it's a welcome change. We are coming together as a province and as a country, and we're now seeing those introductions. So I can turn around and look at Launchcode and say, you know what, here's the 3 different organizations or companies or whatever that would benefit you guys, and I can actually do an intro, and that will open those doors. And we're seeing a lot of that activity. And so that would be anything from an enterprise organization, post-secondary, it could be someone like an Invest Alberta or Edmonton Global. We're seeing that power of connection. And I think that's really important because it's hard being a small upcoming company trying to get in front of the right people.
Yeah.
And even knowing who the right people are.
Well said.
Yeah.
We've lived it, right?
Yeah.
And so, Alberio, what do you think of that?
Yeah, for sure. So we've been in Calgary for quite a few years now, right? And being in Calgary, we know we didn't have that exposure of being a brand new startup or just coming in here and joining some of these organizations or being part of it. We do love the fact that there's so many of these organizations starting.
Yeah.
The one exposure we did get is doing the reverse. We did that going into the US, right? The Orlando market. And it was really interesting because when we went there, they have a couple organizations that are very, very tight. They're cohesive. They work together really well. And they're all about connecting. And that for us was huge. So
Massive.
you go in there and they're like, okay, who do you want to meet? What do you guys do? You should talk to this, come to this event. And it was just like they bring you in as part of the family. So we love seeing that, right? And, if that's the vision here in Calgary and this is where we're going to get you, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, it'd be the first. I've been here my whole life, and I've never seen anything that's emulating that experience we had in Orlando. And now with what Alberta IoT is doing, it's actually filling that void. It's a massive void.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm going to pass that compliment on to others though in the community, because I think that's a big part of what's happening. Is I think I'm just naturally a person that likes to connect people to other people. I do that naturally.
Yeah.
We needed to get past one person introducing to another person.
Yeah.
We needed companies and organizations, and what we have seen over the last couple of years is that willingness to do it. So I can reach out to Platform or Calgary Economic or Invest Alberta and say, hey, we have this person needing to talk to this person. Can you do those? And we've got that happening now, and I think that really helps our companies do well.
Yeah. And it helps facilitate the needs the businesses have. Like they're looking, a lot of them are experiences, a lot of them are looking to stay local. Yeah. But they don't know where to go.
Well,
right?
And I'm going to take it one step further because I've seen this so much. We have an advisory board that is amazing. They have been so much there for me and supported me throughout the last couple of years. And so they tend to be in larger enterprise organizations.
Right.
And I have been able to go to them and say, you know what, I've got a smart building company and they need to speak to you. Or I have a person needing an angel investor. They need some help with their pitch deck. Can I reach out to you? And they've all come forward and helped.
That's
and
great.
so that's been spinning off too, as we're seeing more and more of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's so much value in that from both sides.
Yeah.
It's
the community's supporting the community, which is what it should be. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty curious, speaking about community, I know that you guys are fairly large here. Alberta IoT is fairly large in Calgary. I see it all over the place, which is awesome, seeing that trajectory. Which other parts of Alberta, do you guys want to expand to? Is there opportunities for those in the rural areas?
Yeah. So we work with the Regional Innovation Network. We've been very fortunate to have them support us, especially for our fast track program. So that's our business acceleration program. So they have pushed that out to all of the rural IoT companies. So we have folks from Grand Prairie, from Lethbridge attending our program. We have a good membership in Edmonton. I'd like to see Edmonton be a little stronger. And so one, I'd like to hire someone in Edmonton. And two, I would like to develop more events. But I will also say I have 2 events in Edmonton in December. So we're getting there.
Good.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Everybody listening, anybody in Edmonton, Brenda's got a need. Let's fill
I have a need.
Let's put it out to the universe.
Yes. So
Awesome.
we want to have all of Alberta represented. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It'd be great to see that as a provincial wide.
Very much. Very much. Yeah.
Impactful piece. Awesome. Continuing down that path of kind of the evolution to where we're going here. We've talked about kind of what it looks like in the past, where you've been, a little bit of where we're going. What's the next 3 to 5 years look like?
Well, that's a good question. I'm going to touch back on that science park because I think when we roll that out, that turns around and gives our companies, our post-secondaries, our students a chance to collaborate together, but also turn around and take us onto the world stage for that. So, and I use the world stage only because I think if you are a company in Alberta, you can't do business just in Alberta.
Yeah.
You want a market share in Canada, you want a market share internationally.
Yep.
And we want to make sure that that's facilitated as best as we can. And so the Science Park, our traveling to these conferences is to turn around and open those doors.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's exciting to hear. Well,
Yeah.
It'll be great to see. I think as part of that is an evolution to even bringing or having more talent here in Alberta, right? Which is pretty massive for us as an organization that's been here now for 11 years in Calgary.
Yeah.
This is a much needed evolution.
Yes.
When we first started here, it was hard finding tech talent, but now it's getting better and better. I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
yeah.
I will say it's been interesting. We work with a lot of organizations like Lighthouse Lab and EdgeUp program, making sure and Manpower to make sure that we've got the reskilling happening. But I think also the relationship with all the post-secondaries, because we need the students to be engaged with industry locally.
Yeah.
They need to understand what it's like to work with an entrepreneur. They come work in your office, what's that look like versus, working with an Ellis Dawn or, any of the larger organizations. There's a different feel.
Yeah.
And knowing what the opportunity is here, because I don't know that our students realize how much is actually happening here. I'll also touch on the piece that was been very exciting is a couple of years ago when we were trying to get talent to come here, we were having a struggle because they were going, there's only one job to come to. That job falls apart. We have no place else to go. There's not enough
right.
tech here. We have developed enough tech here. We've had enough, whether it's growing in, by itself or because companies are actually relocating here. But there's enough here now that talent can go, there's job one, oh, there's a job over there. So we can stay and we can move from job to job, and there are more jobs here.
Right.
And so job 2 and 3 is there. And so that makes it easier to have that conversation to say, hey, talent, do you want to come here? Those high quality personnel that we really, really need to come here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You touched on something that I'd like to kind of go a little deeper on.
Sure.
Alignment with post-secondary.
Yes.
It's something that you see what SAIT's doing. You see that there's some great influx of just creative thinking around program, around alignment.
Yeah.
We've had some chats with some folks over there as well to kind of help just bring enlightenment on what's happening in the industry.
Yes.
Let's maybe talk a little bit of that. How is Alberta IoT involved in that space?
So I've touched on the Science Park, but I haven't actually said what it is.
Okay.
The whole focus of the Science Park is to bring industry and post-secondary together. That is the
Pretty cool.
whole focus
Then let's
of
go.
it.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So we started this because we were talking to the incubators internationally about the Startup Visa program, and they went, oh, have you talked to the science parks? And we're like, oh, did not know about science parks. A lot of them are brick and mortar. And we're going, post-COVID, we don't need more buildings. We got lots of buildings.
Right.
So the idea behind it would be to have companies like yourself enterprise companies, researchers put forward a challenge, and then we would use machine learning to match make them with others that might fit that need. And so the idea is to put it into a virtual sandbox and turn around and say, can this challenge go from ideation to commercialization? Who needs to be at the table to do it? And if they can, then we take it to a physical lab. So what this does, though, is the researcher who's got lots of equipment, a lab that's underutilized can now turn around and potentially utilize that space in a challenge. We now have the SME who might have a really cool sensor solution actually being able to talk to enterprise. Enterprise who is going, I know some researchers, but I don't know all of the 26 universities in Alberta.
Right.
I don't know all the SMEs out there, now has that match make to turn around and have those conversations.
Awesome.
So all of our members will be on that platform by end of year. You will all have your own profiles. You will have tags. And so if there's something you're interested in, you will be match made with others. So it will help drive business, which is what we want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
You're kind of connecting all three areas there.
we're trying.
Because that's been the one piece that we just
Yep.
haven't seen, that connectivity into post-secondary.
Yeah.
And so that coming into this it's pretty exciting to see it come to light. So
Well, I'm like, we got students, we got researchers, we got industry. Oh my God, like we could do so much.
Yes.
Sorry, and I'm you can edit this.
Yeah.
But I do Pinky in the Brain a lot.
Love it. I love it.
Show.
Yeah.
I had to
Take over the world, right?
Yeah,
I had
man.
to turn around and send videos to my staff because they had no idea what I was talking about. This, we're going to take over the world today.
I love it.
Love it. We got it. That should be the opener to this. It's a pinky in the brain.
I love it.
That's a great idea. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. I totally lost my train of thought.
Alberta is taking over the
Yeah,
world.
I love it. That's awesome. Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
That's got to be something that we do. We got to incorporate that into this for sure. For
yeah,
sure.
I know.
Sure. How is so how is that being, because there really hasn't been any connection to post-secondary from any association yet. So I would imagine, it's in a complete assumption, that's why I'm asking. How is it being received in that space? Are they
Yeah.
excited about it because it's more traditional typically?
So I think what we did when we first started going down this path is we had someone come on as a contractor that is very engaged with post-secondary anyways, understood their language. And so we had to understand what their needs were, what the different stakeholders, whether it's industry, SMEs, everything. And one of the things with the post-secondaries we heard was a couple different things. They have a ton of equipment and it's not being utilized enough.
Right.
It's also hard to keep it up to date. And then the next thing is they've got to go for another round of funding to keep the equipment up to date. So we're looking at it going, if we can bring you into projects to utilize the equipment you have, but we're also keeping your equipment up to date, so the next time you want to go for a round of funding, we can actually be part of that conversation.
Right.
We can say, here's the projects, here's the equipment needed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, so
cool.
we were really kind of going with every stakeholder, what is your need, and then trying to figure out how that fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you got some really key people here that did that. So
Yeah. So we were fortunate. We have 5 of the key post-secondary sign-off letters of support right out of the gate,
Right on.
which helped us. And then when we start having conversations with other post-secondaries, say right away, we're going, yeah, we can see the value of this,
Yeah.
right? So,
That's
yeah.
unique. That's really unique.
Yeah.
Okay, so weird question out of the blue. Totally off script. Have you guys associated or affiliated? Is there other provinces doing the same stuff? Like when we start talking about the Canadian landscape a
Yeah.
little larger, what does that look like?
So there is a group out of Ontario and Quebec called AIoT Canada.
Yeah.
And I actually was on their board for a while. I just am so busy here that I stepped
Yeah.
away. But they're actually coming in for a conference with us in a couple days.
Okay.
And so we do have that relationship, and the idea is to do business across Canada.
Right on.
Yeah. So there is bits and pieces around Canada. I don't know that there's another like BC IoT
Right.
or Nova Scotia IoT, but
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious, as an IoT in general, is there a hub in Canada, like where majority of the innovations coming from? Or?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously Montreal has their AI. Ontario has areas of specialty too. I think Alberta's now starting to sit
Love it.
there.
Yeah, love it.
Alberta's
See.
definitely starting to sit there. And it feels good because when we looked at the numbers, I think we said there was 2,800 technology companies in Alberta today.
Okay.
So 203% increase over the last 10 years.
Wow.
Awesome.
So which is great.
Yeah.
And then across Canada, I think they were saying there's 3,400.
Wow.
Or 34,000. Sorry, 34,000 tech companies in Canada today.
Wow. That's
So,
amazing.
but let's take that and go, how many companies out there are saying, oh, I'm an oil and gas company, but they have technology in it and they're still labeling themselves as oil and gas.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a
so
good point.
it's awfully hard to turn around and
Yeah, and it's interesting, like maybe speak a little bit of the challenge we've seen, Alberio, from the tech side when it comes to resourcing.
Yeah.
And really having to be creative
Yeah.
to do that. So hearing the connection with what Alberta IoT and the Brenda and the team are doing to what we're experiencing in the real life, it's
Yeah.
a nice kind of like parallel there. So maybe speak to that a little bit.
For sure. So I'll start with a little story, I guess.
okay.
So we opened up an office here in 2011, right? And that's our first. It's now our head office here in Calgary. And when we first opened up, we were looking for talent, like we are now, tech talent, and it was hard to find people.
Yeah.
Right? Back then, it was really hard to find people because a lot of the graduates from the universities, and I went to U of A in Edmonton. When I graduated, I worked there for a couple of years, but then I went to the U.S.
Yeah.
A lot of the graduates on the tech side would even go out east or down south.
Yeah.
So the first couple of years that we were here, we actually did some trade shows and career fairs. So we did career
Yep.
fairs at the University of Calgary, and we would go there, and there was a booth. That was our booth as a tech company.
Yep.
And maybe 3 or 4
Yeah.
other ones.
Yeah.
And the rest were all, a lot
Yep.
of them were in the resources industry, right? Oil and gas. And then as the years went by, we started noticing, okay, well, there's a few more tech companies, to the point where the last one I was at about 3 years ago, there was way more tech companies than any
Yep.
other industry. So, which was pretty cool. Like, the companies are popping up. And as you mentioned, I think it's becoming a viable place to come, because if you do get a tech job and that doesn't work out, there's other companies
There
you can go
is.
to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now what we'd love to see is some of these graduates, stay in Alberta.
Yeah.
Not
100%.
only that, but maybe have some more schools that pump out
Yep.
more graduates, right? And obviously have people immigrate here from other provinces. So for us as a company, what does that look like? We've had challenges finding tech people, even up until the last couple of years. It's been pretty hard, to the point where we're actually looking in other markets.
Yeah.
COVID has shown us that you don't have to have everybody in the office. So
100%.
with the opening up of remote work, we've started looking in other locations across the world. But, ideally for us, if Calgary can be a vibrant tech ecosystem, not just in organizations and associations, but in the actual talent pool itself,
Yeah.
Yep.
it would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
So interesting. I'll touch on a couple things. We have a trade show at one of the universities at SAIT coming up. We turn around and put it out to our membership to see how many might be interested in participating. And I think it was 48 hours. We had 25 companies take all of the booths.
Oh, wow.
Like it was just like, and it's all tech. And I'm like, that speaks
That's
to the
awesome.
change and the interest, right? The other thing that I thought was really interesting, going to the Calgary Stampede this year and watching the tarp sales, the auctions.
Yeah.
There was an actual, and I'm trying to remember what company it is. There was a company that was a tech company that actually bought a tarp.
That's
and
right.
I'm like, oh my God, it's not just an oil and gas company. We're actually showing, that to me is the change.
Yeah.
Like a couple of years from now, I want to see more tarps with tech companies on there. I'm recognizing the names.
That'd be pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I was so excited when I saw that.
That's next level. Like that.
Yeah, it is. We're actually there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tech to the Stampede.
Yeah.
Bringing tech to Stampede.
Be high tech. All the bulls will be
There you
bulls,
go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Computers on them and running.
Yeah.
Stick
Flashbacks.
sensors on our cows.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. So why
Flashback
not, right?
arrangements
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's exciting to see the evolution. Like it's been happening for years, but the publicity just has been focused in the
Yeah.
wrong areas.
Yeah.
And now it's evolving, and that's exciting to be a part of. And
Yeah.
organizations like Alberta IoT are at the forefront of it. So
We've
it's
got
exciting.
momentum going.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see that. And I see it across all the organizations in Alberta.
Yeah.
We're coming together because we see the momentum. We see companies like yourselves getting on the bandwagon and going, okay, how do we make this story louder?
Yeah.
How do we take this and make sure people are aware of what's going on? So, it's quite exciting.
It is, and the evolution to it, just the diversification of the companies that are part of it. You know, like you've got companies that aren't IoT related, but they're focused, and not even like the big buzzwordy stuff, AI and ML and all that. It's focusing on just the technology and the impact to the way that the businesses operate.
Yeah.
And that's what's exciting. You know, like one of our partners is Ignite Technologies, and
I
they're
love
part
them.
of it now as well. You know, which is awesome to see.
And what they're doing in the healthcare sector is incredible.
Totally. It's really impactful work.
And when you talk about a story like that, you start talking about the technology and you talk to someone who's not really in that sector.
Right.
And you just say, look what technology can do to help someone living in their home. And it's like it's so exciting, and people buy into that because they can see the benefit to it. Yeah,
it's tangible for everybody.
It is.
It is. It's pretty exciting. So, any other questions from you, Alberio?
No, this was great. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Brenda, I want to give you a moment. Mike is yours. Let's pop some. I know, surprise. Let's pop something out there. Let's talk about Alberta IoT. Let's talk about the needs. Is there anything there? Use this time to use it for yourself.
I would just say, love to have people to turn around and check out the community.
Yeah.
So we're available, obviously, on the website, on LinkedIn, all the social media platforms. Come see what we're about, but come see what our companies are about.
Yeah.
We have all 220 companies listed on our website. You can go in there and see. And whenever I turn around and tell someone who's never really been around us, I say, go check out. And they're going, oh my God, the names, like we reckon. And I'm like, there's a strong presence here.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And so
love it.
Come check us out.
Okay.
Come join us. We have lots happening. We'd love to have more people join us.
I love it. And Edmonton, if you're listening, Brenda needs somebody.
I need some bodies in Edmonton,
right.
please.
So let's make it happen.
There you
awesome.
go.
And what's the website?
AlbertaIoT.com.
Perfect.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
And you should be able to find us on LinkedIn.
You guys are everywhere. So you're definitely doing a great job putting yourselves out there.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the time today. Really appreciate you. I know just getting back, the whole travel piece ties into it. So thanks for making the time.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And to all of our audience, listeners, the folks that are out there taking us in on the daily, weekly, monthly basis, we appreciate you guys. Continue to like, follow, get involved, put comments in there. If you want us to connect you with Brenda or anybody else that we've had on our podcast, Launchcast. I'll get in trouble for that. Please connect, and we're happy to do so. So thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to the next one. There's links, buttons, all those fun things. Click, follow, all that fun stuff. And we'll look for you guys in the next one. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, this has been Launchcast.